Welcome to the Rant Show. Tonight we're coming to you pre-recorded because, well, we've got another show happening at 8 p.m. So we are doing it via the magic of pre-recording. Hello, Peter.
And how are you this weekend?
I'm very well. It's not weekend. Don't confuse me. Do not do that again. It's not weekend. It's only Thursday. Golly goodness. We want to say hello to our followers and all that. And don't forget, this episode is proudly brought to you by hempoilsurfer.com. For all your CBD oils and all the other stuff that you need with hemp products, head over to hempoilsurfer.com and check out the wide range of items that they have available only at hempoilsurfer.com. Now,
we'd call those medicinal, wouldn't we?
Yes, but there's plenty of other things on his website, so go and check out hempoilsurfer.com. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to move on now because that's not our focus. Our focus is on ranting about topics. Yeah. And there is, look, we didn't do yesterday's show. We all know why. At least if you don't know why, you can go and watch Your Story with Indigo Grace. You'll learn why there. And I'm still in a foul mood. Absolutely a foul mood.
Yeah, it really hit a bone for you, didn't it?
It has, and I'm still in a foul mood. So what do I have to try to give me a little bit of joy? What do I have to rant on today?
Okay, things to rant on maybe based around the proposal that originally came from New Zealand and is now being entertained by the Australian government, that at some point in the future, not now, but at some point in the future, they will look toward relaxing the restrictions, the travel restrictions, and allowing people to move between New Zealand and Australia and between various Australian states, which at the moment are all locked down.
Look, I think let's be real. We all, this is not really a rant topic to even discuss. Because at the end of the day, let's be real, Peter, the borders have to reopen at some point. Now,
they do. Yeah.
Would I like to see Australian borders reopen before I would like to see New Zealand borders open? Most likely, because let's be realistic here. They're not. WA is not going to open their borders. New South Wales is not going to open their borders. No other state's going to open their borders. So. Is it that we open up all of the borders in Australia at the same time as inviting New Zealand in? Because if that's the case, we're just going to maybe have another pandemic on our hands.
And a second peak is happening in Singapore. It's happening in South Korea. I think it's happening in Japan. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. These places which are kind of ahead of the curve as far as Australia is concerned.
Yeah, I think
a second peak.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've got to be careful and make sure, because they're demonstrating to us what can happen. We've got to be careful that we don't act too soon. Well, like the USA, which is still in their first peak, and they're relaxing the laws way too early. They're going to get their first peak and their second peak overlapping. It's going to be a disaster.
Well, this is the other thing. Okay, so. Without naming the person, because I don't want to do that for their health and safety reasons, we have a person very close to us that we know, or very close to me, I should say. I won't throw Peter on this bus, but very close to me, who has a fever, has a cough. So two out of the three warning signs, I guess you could say, for COVID, and has not gone and got tested. Now,
are they self-isolating?
They're self-isolating. He's being good, but this is the problem. This is the problem that I see is while our numbers in WA, and I'm shifting our topic from opening the borders to the numbers in WA hasn't risen. The advice has been, if you have these two symptoms, stay at home and just don't come out. Now, that's a bit dangerous, the fact that, one, these people aren't getting tested because they are too scared to come out of their house to get tested. Two, they're fearful that if they go to hospital, that they'll infect someone, like a doctor or a nurse. And three, there's no clear communication on, do I ring up the hospital before I go? Now, I've chatted with this person and I've said to them, look, ring the 13 COVID number, tell them your symptoms, and they will advise you on what to do. That is the key here. Like, you need to, if you have these symptoms, you should be going and ringing that 13 COVID number. That's 13 COVID.
Let's run the symptoms so people know.
I only know 2 or 3.
Well, so, you say yours and I'll say mine.
Okay, so I know that if you have a fever and if you have a dry cough.
A hacking cough, a dry hacking cough. So a lot of people report that they just cough and it becomes exhausting. In a worst case scenario, it just becomes exhausting. They're coughing cough.
So it's like an asthma cough. It's like an asthma cough.
Yeah, and there's shortness of breath as well is another thing that happens for people.
Well, let's. I'm just opening up the government's app here that we have, just so we can actually see what they believe that the symptom checker is. So the symptom checker is a fever, a cough, a sore throat, and shortness of breath. Actually, while we're on air, I'm actually just going to screenshot this and send it to the person, because that way they can actually go and get properly checked. Because this is the thing. Like, I guess, like, people don't know what is the symptoms and all that kind of stuff. So like, this person has messaged me saying, I can still hold my breath for a minute without the need to cough, so hoping I'm okay. You're right, it's the fear. So he believes that, I can hold my breath for a minute, so I must be okay. But look.
I have never heard that as being a way of finding out if you may be infected. Hold your breath for a minute.
I've never heard that either. And look, to this person, now they will know who they are, but other people won't. Look, you made me laugh, so thank you. Look, just go get tested. Simple as that. Don't be a scaredy cat. The other thing the person said was they're worried that they'll infect. This is a quote. I just feel like I'm doing the wrong thing going near medical staff if I do have it. ... If I can get a test at home, that would be ideal and allow me to continue isolating.
You can't get a test at home.
Well, they were talking about a test at home. They actually, the government was saying we do have a kit that can be sent to your home. This was only a week ago they said this. Now, whether or not they are going to do this, we don't know. Maybe there's a better test now. Like, could you imagine?
Some places have a drive-through clinic. That's about as far as it gets, as advanced it is. And you basically pull in and they do a nose or throat swab. And then I think the fastest turnaround is 15 minutes that they have for a result.
Yeah.
But a visit to your home, no.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It may in the future. It's not happening now. Get on the phone, Just get on the phone and ring the 1-300. Do you know the number? 13...
COVID.
13... I can remember that.
Hang on. It's 1-3-2-6-8-4-3. It's easier just to write COVID than worry about what numbers it is.
Yeah.
Just ring 13
and
COVID.
Then talk to someone.
So
talk to a real person.
Like, okay, so the number is 1-3-2-6-8-4-3.
Yeah, and you can put that on there for people to read if they can't remember it. But
just ring. It's easy.
Just ring and talk to someone. And I'll tell you what it will do. As soon as you do that, your anxiety levels will go down.
Yeah,
you won't be stressing so much.
So I just sent this person the symptom checker, and he goes 2 out of 4. So
good enough. Call.
Yeah.
Now, look, when my sister got COVID. I won't say which one. I've got 3 sisters, so I won't name which one.
Hang on. One of your family members have got COVID?
Did have.
When?
In October.
But no, COVID only happened in January.
Don't say that. It happened before that, and she got it when she was in the US.
Start
working out Wuhan now. She was in the US. She got COVID. They didn't know what it was. She had the symptoms. She had the fever. She had the dry.
Yeah.
She had the dry. Yeah, she did. They said she had some weird sort of. The doctors said she had some weird sort of pneumonia.
She just could have had a pneumonia. She could have had a bad case of the flu.
Okay, you can say that. You go and argue with the doctors, okay?
I'm not going to argue with the doctors. I'm just going to say, at the end of the day, we don't know.
She had, well, they can know by just doing
they might be able to check now, but
they could do an antibody test to see if she's still got the antibodies.
Oh, she wouldn't have the antibodies. Anyway, let's move on to our.
But the point is, she had the symptoms. You go through, tick them all off.
But hang on. Symptoms. Last year, I had the flu, and I had all those symptoms as well. Just a few months ago,
were you traveling internationally?
Hang on. What you're saying?
Did you have the flu?
Oh, I can't. November, December, maybe October, somewhere along those times.
Yeah, well, at that time of the year, it was emerging.
Yeah, no. That don't get this video flagged by Facebook for false information. Okay? We do not want the video.
How is it false information unless Facebook can prove it's not true?
Well, Facebook is highlighting things, and this is the next topic. Actually,
and I know they banned me for 2 weeks because I posted a picture of a guy with his shirt off, with no shirt on, and they banned me because they said it was obscene. And I'm like, how many times do men, and it was a man, have a picture of themselves without their shirt on? How is that obscene? And I got banned for 2 weeks. And I'm like, this is crazy. Obviously, someone had it in for me and reported me, and they didn't even check. I put in a complaint, didn't make any difference at all. So Facebook, when it comes to Facebook deciding, what they're going to ban, it's just a joke. It really is a joke. You can't ban someone for putting up a picture of another man who doesn't have a shirt on, who's bare-chested. I mean, that's not obscene. Since when?
What are you doing posting pictures of men with their shirt off on your Facebook feed in the first place?
I know people. You know people. Some people might not have a shirt on.
I don't post pictures of other guys on my Facebook feed with their shirt off.
So what? Now, the fact is, if you see that as obscene, you must be of some weird religion or something. I don't know who Facebook got who are checking these things. They're not checking them. Obviously, they're not checking them. They just get a complaint from someone who's a shit stirrer, and they just go, oh, well, we'll ban them. And then I say, hold it, just a minute, you can't do that. And they just ignore it.
Well, Facebook,
it's nuts. It's crazy.
Facebook can ban anything.
Okay. If Facebook think that they want to do something about this because they think that my sister did not have COVID, prove it.
Is that your little rant for today, is it?
That's my little rant for now, for the moment. I have another one later, okay?
Awesome.
If you can do it, I can do it too. All right, I've got
if you
something
can do it,
now.
I can do it better than you.
I've got something now to share with you, and I have to say that the person who posted this, it's on my own Facebook
okay, well,
page.
we can't play that video, so we're not going to be able to play the video.
No, this is not a video. That's something else. I'm posting something which has been posted by a man with a lot of qualifications in vet science. He's a veterinary scientist, but he's also completing a PhD. He has two master's degrees.
Let's get to the point, because if this is another rumor or another false accusation,
I have to just state his qualifications first. Okay. Next, he says this is a theory. He's writing a paper for the scientific journals now, and he goes on to explain how and why, but obviously the scientific journals are going into more detail. He's saying that COVID, the thing that kills people in COVID, according to his theory, which has to be confirmed, is carbon monoxide toxicity. In other words, people are literally suffocating. And he explains the how and why of how it happens, the virus, how it causes it, and how to treat it. So that if people go to hospital who have COVID and who are seriously ill, this type of go on ventilators, he said, if my theory is correct, this is what you do, and they will get better. And I'm not going to go into any great detail other than to say, this is a theory that's put forward. He wants it to be, he's putting it out in the scientific literature so that they can study it with people, with real people, and see if his theory works. And if it does, it could be a breakthrough. as far as saving lives.
Look, I think the problem we've had doctors say this on YouTube, and other doctors in the medical professions already comment about what does COVID do to your lungs. And one of the biggest things is because it's basically gets fluid into your lungs, and it blocks your lungs from actually working and to actually be able to process everything correctly, which means it does.
It's more worse than fluid. It's like gunk.
Yeah, but that's just like a pack-a-day smoker. That's in a way that's kind of what, when you have a bad cold and you have a chesty cold, it's kind of like being a pack-a-day smoker. You're looking for something, I can tell that.
No. I've got them all here. Look.
Oh. God, you're crazy.
We can go this way.
This is definitely not good advertising for your business, to having all those cigarettes in your possession. What are you doing? We will. Anyway, so look, it's not about whether or not this theory is right or wrong. At the end of the day, it's just one person's theory, and that is what is the thing.
It's a little bit more than just one person's theory, but he's clarified it, said this is a theory. I've got very good reasoning why it now has to be tested. And I'm just putting it out there without going into great details, even naming him. He's inviting it to be tested, and just that if he's right, it's going to save a lot of lives.
Look, wait and see. Okay, I'm not going to say he's right. I'm not going to say he's wrong, because I don't know. All I'm going to say is at the moment they put people on fentanyl.
My sister didn't have COVID.
Don't. Let's not go there again. Okay, we're going to move on from that. But that's neither here nor there. The virus was first discovered on January. We know that for a fact. That is when the first positive test result came back, and we were able to diagnose it. Whether or not people had it, whether or not people had it before, we will never know. We can never be 100% certain. So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on from the topic. We're not trying to.
Are we still on the subject about New Zealanders coming to Australia or vice versa?
Personally, no. I don't care. I really don't. I'm sorry. It's not for another 4 weeks, if that. I don't give a crap whether or not they do.
What do you care about?
What I care about is what we're going through at the moment. We're seeing more businesses be shut down. We're seeing people break the rules. I got to be honest. Like the amount of people I'm seeing now breaking the rules.
Tell me about them. What rules are they breaking?
Well, social gathering distance rules.
Where? What are they doing?
Just in general. For example, right? You're allowed to go to a shopping centre. Which I
just did a minute ago.
Yep. But when there's a shopping centre that's been pretty busy, really busy, where there is no way you're going to have social distancing, and you've got police officers walking through there, definitely not doing their social distancing either. They're standing side by side, elbows touching elbows. This is a breeding ground for...
doesn't seem to apply to them.
Apparently not. But this is a breeding ground for COVID, or for even just the flu to spread. And look, I guess this is the thing. Like, we're going into flu season. We know that a lot more flu vaccines have been put out on the market to help people... Well, to tell people to go and get your flu jab. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not about whether or not you get the flu jab or not. This is about stopping the spread of a virus. And that is what I'm concerned about, is the fact that we're not going to be able to stop the spread because people aren't abiding by social distancing rules and regulations that are being put in place. Now, they say that they're going to fine them. They say they're going to do all these things to stop people from gathering. But I can honestly tell you that people are back to normal. People are basically doing what they've done before this COVID-19. They don't give a bleep ever. Like, they just don't care.
Well, I don't know. It depends on where you were and who they are, I guess.
Well, I was in Morley Shopping Centre, so Morley Galleria. I'm calling you out, Morley. That's and I was also at Bunnings. Do you know at Bunnings in near the Tonkin Highway, there was not one car park free.
It was packed. In other words,
it was packed.
And was there someone on the door controlling how many people come in?
No, there was no one on the door controlling how many people could come in.
So, like, just,
there was a line. There was a DIY. Well, I joked around to the lady at the front who was wiping some trolleys down. I said, "Oh, did you have a DIY event for how to make a fence?" Because they had a makeshift fence out the front, so people had to go around a little line to get in. So I tried to make a joke. It was actually funny at the time, not funny now. If you could see the picture, you would understand. And if you went to that Bunnings, you would know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, this is like...
Bunnings, by the way, for people who don't know, is a hardware chain in Australia.
It's a hardware chain. But
big stores.
But the thing is, I get it. Like, I get why they are allowed to have people come in and do their shopping and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But then their checkouts, because you know how Bunnings is located, you got the checkouts and the entrance at the same spot. And there's not that much space between the checkouts and the aisles. So to move through people, you have to come in contact with people. You're either bumping them, you're either trying to get around them quite delicately, I guess you could say.
So as you're moving through the store, you've got all the people at checkout sort of
blocking you.
Queuing up, but in
It's really look. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be going to Bunnings, but in some states you're not allowed to go to Bunnings. You actually have to be a trade person to actually go to the Bunnings store. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So I believe it's in New South Wales where they shut down Bunnings, or it was in one of the states over east where they shut down Bunnings to the public and only allowed it to be.
Can you, when you go to Bunnings, as I do in the supermarkets, can you get a trolley to push people out of the way?
So the trolleys were part of this DIY fence.
They made a fence with trolleys?
Yes.
You'd think that a hardware store would know how to build a fence.
Oh, no, they had a fence with proper fencing, but then to make sure you didn't cut the line, they put a line of trolleys to stop you from... So instead of two fences, they had one fence and one line of trolleys, so you had to walk past the trolleys and then do a U-turn out the top and come in.
In your motor car or...
No, walking.
Right, okay.
So you had to park your car in the car park and walk in the line. You could only exit the store from one part of the entrance because you know how they got the big glass doors and you can enter either side? Well, they cut it in half and exit was on the left and entry was on the right. So
right, I haven't been near a Bunnings store for a while.
That's okay.
I've got reason to go to one, but I haven't been to one.
Well, I'm just trying to help you out here, just trying to explain what a Bunnings store is. But this is the thing. Like, it's the other thing that's driving me a little bit nuts at the moment, besides lines and all that kind of stuff, is people doing grocery shopping. I know you got to go, what? The amount of people I'm seeing pick up an item, like, let's say, a steak from the freezer section at Woolworths, and then put that item back is astonishing.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's why you use a hand sanitizer.
Well, Woolworths don't have hand sanitizer available at the entrance no more.
No, you carry one yourself.
Yes, I get that. I get that. But we're not talking about me or you. We're talking about the general population. We're meant to be trying to solve this COVID-19. You would think people would make a bit more effort to actually look at the item that they want to buy, choose whether they're going to buy it, yes or no. That's a pretty simple answer, yes or no. And then if it says yes, pick it up and put it in your trolley and keep going. Don't change your mind once it's in your trolley or once it's in your hand. Like, if you picked it up, you pay for it. It's kind of like that you break it, you pay for it. My motto is, you pick it up, you pay for it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a short time ago, I had to go to the post office to pick up a parcel. Now, I don't know why they didn't leave the parcel for me instead of leaving a card in the mailbox to say that I had to go to the post office to pick it up, because I was home. But anyway, I had to go to the post office, which meant that I had to go down to the bus stop and wait for a bus. And of course, I checked the bus timetable and I went down. Today's Thursday. I looked up Monday to Friday. Yes.
Yeah, okay, we get the point.
And I went there and I stood there and I waited and waited. And I thought, where the hell is this bus? Should have come 10 minutes ago. So
Sunday timetable.
They're running on a Saturday timetable.
Yep. And you should have known that. You actually should have known that, because they told you, the WA government told you 4 weeks ago that they were running until the COVID-19 pandemic's over. All bus timetables are running to a weekend timetable.
I missed that somewhere, but it doesn't matter. I waited for it, okay? By which time I'd worked out what they must be doing. When I got off the bus, I used my own hand sanitizer and hand sanitizer as soon as I got off the bus. I then went and picked up my parcel at the post office. And this is where I'm going to have another little bit of a rant about those stupid lines they put on the floor in the post office about where you've got to walk to wherever. No one could understand them. I wasn't the only one who was confused, and I told the person who runs the place, I don't get it. I don't understand these instructions on the ground that they've had the tape and everything. Other people didn't understand either.
How could you not understand it?
Because the way that the guy had actually put them on the ground was confusing.
They should be in a straight line, and they should be 1.5 meters apart.
No, and it wasn't like that at all. And he had these crosses, and it's his red and white tape that they put down on the ground, right, with crosses and arrows. And he's written with a texter on the red and white crosses and things like that about this cross is for whatever. And you kind of looking on the ground and saying, which one am I supposed to be standing on?
Oh, okay. Well,
that's I was confused, and everyone else was confused. I know it was an individual post office,
but that's the thing, that it should have been. So Australia Post, which is a government-funded business, or it's a government business, should have done exactly what Woolworths and Coles have done, and other agencies have done, including Chemist Warehouse, and printed mass stickers that they could have clearly put on the floor.
And they've got these big, it was Woolworths, and they had these big green things that said, stand here. Any dumb person could understand that.
How simple do you have to get? Like, that's as simple as it is.
And anyone could understand that, but not in the post office. It was confusion. There was tape going in all directions. And I just stood there and thought, where do I... And everyone was standing in the wrong place, and the staff member is standing behind the counter telling people, go and stand there. And they've actually got someone standing behind the counter telling people, because they can't understand what's on the floor.
Well, maybe.
Now, how can you have social distancing? How can people be worried about social distancing when they can't even understand where they're supposed to be standing? It was just ridiculous. It was, and then I went into Woolworths, and it was completely the opposite, because there it was. And just across the way in the mall was the chemist, and they had, you could see the signs up, the signs sort of saying, like, wait here. And there were probably a dozen seats, probably 2 meters apart, and it was actually outside the chemist where they had them. But it was in an area where people could walk without getting in front of other people. It was organised. The chemist was organised. The supermarket was organised, and the post office was a schmozzle. It was just, they should have ripped the whole lot of that tape up and put it down again. I will say the guy that's in charge of that post office is not an Australian. I won't say where he comes from. I don't know how long he's lived in this country, but it's just amazing, Because if in the short time I was there, and there were that many people confused about where they're supposed to be standing, and there's got a staff member behind telling people, it probably happens all day.
I think, though, we don't want to stereotype people, and we don't want to be racist on this show, so we're not going to...
I didn't say he could have come from anywhere, but
you're saying he's not Australian, which he may be an Australian citizen. Could you?
That's why I said that.
And also he's working for the government, so maybe he's just a government spy.
I'm thinking from the perspective of, you got to think when you do this. You got to think like the people who are coming in the door and seeing it from their perspective when you're putting these things on the ground, which obviously wasn't the case, because everyone's coming in the door and going, well, what's all this mean? It might have meant something to him when he put it on the ground, but it didn't mean anything to anyone else.
Look, and I think that's the other topic I want to talk about quickly, because, like, let's look at Woolworths and Coles for a second, and I don't know about your Woolworths, but I know about mine.
By the way, Woolworths and Coles are the two major supermarket chains in Australia. There are others, but they're the two biggest ones.
I think people understand who Woolworths and Coles are by now. But let's definitely our listeners, let's be honest, that we have a high Australian audience. I think we can guarantee that they know what Woolworths and Coles are. But the thing I have really interesting problems with is the Woolworths, and I thought you was drinking vodka then. Is the Woolworths? It actually, I thought you were like, I'm just gonna take a swig of this vodka. So Woolworths and Coles.
It's hand sanitizer.
Cool. So Woolworths and Coles, it's almost like shopping at Christmas, because they're always busy now. Like, no joke of a lie. It is like
they're making money.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely making money. But like this social distancing thing, again, I'll go back to my first point about the Bunnings experience. It's very much the same in Woolworths and Coles. You cannot move between the checkouts and the aisles. You cannot get through.
That's not my experience where I live.
Well,
Coles or Woolworths.
Well, where I live, that is the experience I'm having. And it's not just that as well. It's like, look, I'm sure other people will be able to relate to this and that, but all it takes is one person to cough that is affected with COVID to actually spread the virus. And it doesn't even, okay, this is breaking news. As of yesterday, did you know, Peter, that farting can spread COVID?
Only because you told me.
Oh, okay. You meant to say no. Anyway, so yes, true story here. The ABC reported that on their COVID podcast that farting can be, because it's an aerosol gas, basically your ass sprays, can spread
Just a
COVID.
minute.
That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting.
Oh my God, I've got COVID.
Anyway, I'm going to move on from that. So basically what the doctors...
Did you know cats can spread COVID?
No, they can't. Cats can't get it.
They can.
They cannot. You're spreading false information here.
No, it's not false. Cats can. And not just domestic cats, but also wild cats.
I'm Googling lions, to double check. So tigers. Perth Now is a fact. Okay, so this is coming from Perth Now. So pet cats test positive to COVID-19 in New York. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's news to me. But
in other words, socially isolate your pussy.
5 tigers, 3 lions, and 2 pet cats have all tested positive for coronavirus in New York 3 hours ago. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So I was wrong. Peter was right. Cats and tigers and lions can get COVID. Who knew?
Socially isolate your pussy.
How did the tiger get COVID? The zoo's shut.
I don't know.
Like, seriously, is this airborne virus that deadly? I would look.
Maybe it caught it from the monkeys.
No, it caught it from the bats. Anyway,
I really don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, this is the Rant Show. We're going to give another shout out to our sponsor, hempoilsurfer.com, for all your CBD oil needs and anything to do with hemp oil products. Head over to hempoilsurfer.com. Link is in the description below. Or if you're at your computer right now. Just type in hempoilsurfer.com. Okay, Peter, we're down to the last 20 minutes of the show. So what are we going to talk about?
I was enjoying myself so much.
I know. Let's quickly talk about another topic, that there is a petition. That's right, a petition for the federal government to bail out Virgin Australia. Stirring the pot?
Not going to happen.
So the thing is, they raise no valid points whatsoever in their petition, basically saying, the Virgin Group only owns 10%, and the other groups, all their airlines, they can't afford it right now because they have to protect themselves. Well, you don't go into you don't buy a stock to not invest in it. Like that's an investment. Now, personally,
if they bail out, they're overseas companies and countries.
But they say this. They go. If you give Virgin their $1.4 billion that they need, they will pay it back. They will pay it back within 2 to 3 years. And then later on, they go further down in their petition spill on change.org. They then go on to say, but if they don't, you become the majority shareholder.
It doesn't want to be the majority shareholder. The Australian government is not in the business of owning airlines. Not since way back Paul Keating days in about whenever it was, 1990 or something or other, somewhere back there. It might have been in the 1980s, but way back there, that we got out of being, nationalising and owning airlines. Back in the days of, TAA and that sort of thing. Look, Australia, if Australia had to bail out Virgin, then the government would have to do the same thing for a litany of companies that are Australian owned. Virgin is not Australian owned. No more than 9% Australian owned. And the rest of it is international by other governments and other airlines. If they've got this into trouble, and let's admit it was already in debt to the tune of more than $3 billion before COVID-19. It was in trouble before COVID-19. If they want the Australian government to bail them out and take a shareholding, I won't do it. That's a rude mark. But the fact is, no. Because one, they don't deserve it. They shouldn't qualify for it. Other companies would come ahead of them. Other Australian-owned companies that are only suffering because of COVID-19, they would come ahead of a company that's 90% owned by foreigners, foreign companies, foreign governments, and it was already in the red to the tune of multiple millions of dollars because of the way they were running the company. That's their problem. They can fix it.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Administrators can fix it.
Let me ask you this: should Qantas be bailed out if they go under?
Number one, Qantas is not going under. So what are we talking about?
Well, no, Qantas has asked for $1.9 billion.
Because Virgin's asking for it, of course.
No, they've asked for it because they believe that their airline needs it to stay afloat. So that is partly why the Australian government gave them.
Okay, so it's owned by Australian shareholders. There may be some foreign ones among it, but basically it's an Australian company. It is the national carrier. It was owned by the federal government. Maybe they'll look at it, maybe they won't. But certainly Qantas should be standing in before Virgin.
So March 19th, despite a $1.6 billion profit and government stimulus, Qantas is standing down its workforce. Of course, that happened. And of course, the government gave them a stimulus of $715 million for the whole airline period. We're not quite sure what that will look like, how much of that the Qantas actually gets. Like, let's be realistic. It says in this article on the It's also worth mentioning that the airline industry is set to receive $715 million in taxpayers' funds backdated to February 1st. As now, that's basically like it doesn't go. No one has actually told us how this $715 million actually gets spent. Like, is it the because there's other airlines.
That's all the regional airlines, such as Rex and others. It's also Virgin, and it is also Qantas. It's not all for Qantas. It's got to go all over the place.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what Qantas actually got, because I take it that they wouldn't tell us, not publicly anyway, because, well, why would they? Let's be realistic here. They're not going to tell us how much. Yeah, so I can't quickly.
That may be a commercial in confidence thing. In other words, maybe.
But no, see, this is the thing. I don't think it should be a commercially confident thing, because at the end of the day, we, the taxpayers, are paying for this stimulus, or we will pay for this stimulus at some time. So don't we have a right to know how much each airline's getting and where that money is getting spent?
I guess it would come out eventually, that it would come out, but maybe at the moment it won't. Maybe look, if I was an airline and I got 700, let's just say that for example, I'll be generous to Qantas. Hang on, bear with me. Let me get my calculator open. How many airlines do you think are in that would have to bail out? There's Rex. Let's do 715 million. Many regional airlines there are. I really don't know.
Divide that. Well, actually, we can ask Google for that. So while I get the how many regional airlines in Australia?
I think you're going to be amazed by the answer.
How many airlines operate in Australia? Australia has 5 main domestic airline carriers, which they're saying Qantas, Virgin, Jetstar, Tiger, and Rex. These are Australian airlines. So I take it there would be some more, but that's 5. I know there's a few here in Australia, but Regional Express, that's another one. So let's just say 12. Let's use a conservative number of 12. So that's still $59 million out of 12 airlines, if they split it evenly, which they won't, that each airline could get. Now, of course, there could be over 200.
Just a moment.
What?
Have you got on your list Airlink, Air North,
hang on,
Alliance Airlines, Cobram Air, Eastern Australia Airlines?
Do you want to just quickly count? Do you want to quickly count them and tell me the number? It's easier if you just count the numbers. So we're going to have that number for you now very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, while he does that, I'll give another...
34.
34, okay. So is that including Qantas?
Yeah.
Okay, so 34 airlines.
Oh, sorry, that's regional. That's only the regional
Okay,
ones.
so plus the 5 that we have, so 34 plus 5. Is 39.
In round numbers.
So 39.
Okay.
39. Yeah. So we divide. So that's $18 million. Actually, it's a bit more than $18 million each, if they were to split it evenly amongst them.
Of course they won't.
Which they won't. So now I don't know how much a plane costs, but that's a lot of new planes that they could buy. And then, of course, if they're doing the asset write-off tax, they could get some of that money back.
Now, that money is for paying terminal fees in case they go terminal. No, that's not the terminal I meant. It's for paying terminal fees to the owners who own the terminals. It's for paying staff that they have to keep on, because you don't get rid of all of your staff. You've got to keep on some staff, sure. Engineering, security. You got to move planes, so I suppose you've got to have pilots and all that sort of thing. You're going to have some staff and some administration staff and that sort of thing. It's those sort of things that when an airline is not flying, they still have costs.
Yeah, but okay, so
the costs don't stop. Yes, they're not paying fuel and they're not paying whatever, but they're going to pay for the leases on the aircraft.
Yes,
because most of them are leased.
Okay, so let's say $18 million they get each. Let's just use that figure for example. They're gonna they're not yes, they get charged an income tax on that because it's income to the business, but they don't have to pay it back to the government, and they're supposed to be a profitable business. Like, I guess where I sit in the category that if you have a business and you're not shut down or you're sorry, even if you are shut down, but you're a profitable business, surely they would have enough savings in the bank to keep them going.
Look, you've got some of these airlines are very small, and they're servicing places like, for example, one I just saw there was King Island Air. Now, King Island's a reasonably large island in the Bass Strait between Tasmania and Victoria. Sure. If that airline cannot fly in freight and food and all sorts of things like that, the people on that island are going to suddenly be going without.
Oh, no, I totally agree on helping the smaller airlines. I don't agree on helping the bigger airlines. The bigger airlines like Alan Joyce's Qantas should be standing on their own 2 feet.
I get where you're coming from, but you see where I'm coming from too.
Totally. I get where the smaller airlines, definitely the ones like Rex who have already come out and said if we don't have a stimulus package for us, we will go under. That's a fair call because they service the areas that larger airlines don't want to service. This is the thing.
It's not just passengers.
Yeah, but I'm all for helping the smaller guys who service the ones that the big companies that are making profit, or at least they're claiming they make profit, because they're going to all the tourist destinations. They got the large cargo ones that are most probably doing the cargo from LA to Australia. But these smaller airlines that are Australia focused, Australian owned, most likely 100% Australian owned. I don't want to be quoted on that.
Their mum, you might call them their mum. Some of these are just mum and dad airlines.
Exactly. They're ones.
Family owned.
They're the ones I'm happy to give this $715 million stimulus to. However, we shouldn't be giving it to the Qantas or the Virgins or.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake.
You've made a mistake?
Yeah, you know when I gave you those 30?
Yep.
You know those 30 I gave you?
Yep.
That was one column. There's 2 columns.
Okay, so there's
no, sorry, the second column of the airports that they operate out of. So it's okay. It's okay. It's just the other column was the airports, not
look.
The
it doesn't matter about whether or not you made a mistake or not. We've moved on from that 18 million. I just think from a core value of Australia, like if this stimulus package is supposed to be for Australian airlines, Qantas, which operates in other countries, while yes, they may be listed on the ASX or the Australian Stock Exchange, they should have enough backers where they can stay afloat, investors who wanted to invest in them. I just think
what you're talking about things such as Jetstar Asia or Jetstar Singapore, and then there's Jetstar New Zealand, there's Jetstar Japan, there's Jetstar Vietnam.
Are they?
These are, yeah.
So basically, these are Qantas's brands on other airlines.
These are these work where those airlines that operate in those countries fly under the Jetstar flag, shall we say? But they're actually owned by investors in those countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they all work together, but and they all support each other. So, if I wanted to go, I'll make something up. If I wanted to go to Japan on a holiday and go to certain places within Japan, I can fly from here. I can't now, but I could otherwise fly from here to Japan with Qantas or Jetstar, and then fly around Japan or around Vietnam or out of Singapore, Jetstar Singapore, and fly to various destinations. I could go to Thailand or to Philippines or Indonesia, Bali, on Jetstar. And although they all look the same,
they're not.
Japanese Jetstar is Japanese.
Look, it's one of those things where I just feel like big companies, like, you know who's not asking for a bailout?
Me?
No, the supermarkets.
Oh, they're making money.
Like, you don't see Woolworths and Coles going, we can't actually we don't have enough storage for this food, so we need more government money to get more warehouses. We're not seeing that. You know the other thing
those supermarkets are employing thousands.
You know the other thing that we're not seeing. You know the other thing we're not seeing. We're not seeing things like food banks get money.
They are.
They mostly are, but we're not seeing that.
Well,
now,
I saw that. I saw that in the news. I didn't see anything about the buses not operating on normal timetables.
Look, it's
so I missed one, picked up the other.
Yeah,
and used the vice versa.
Yeah,
maybe we should get our heads together, then we'd know everything that's going on. Oh, that's what we're doing on this program.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are running out of time, so the last half hour you can most probably miss that if you've watched it already. Well, too bad. It was a bit of a mess, a train wreck at the end of this episode, which it was. Let's be realistic. It was a train wreck. I've got a call coming in here. Should we just take this call on the air?
Why not? Who cares? It'll be fun.
Hang on. The person is on the air.
Hello?
Huh?
You're live on radio right now.
Am I?
You are, so please don't swear.
Oh, I try not to. Hey, Peter.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Cooking dinner.
What's for dinner?
Getting have a new fry pan that Russell bought me. He's giving me the hint to start doing more housework.
So we went to Bunnings. Let's go back to our very first topic of the night, Bunnings. While we got this one on the phone, what did you think of the Bunnings situation?
Oh, it's all right. We should be lifting restrictions anyway. Another day of no new cases. So what's the problem?
Well, no, there's just too many people.
Yeah, it's not like we're spreading it around at a high rate of knots either. So you got to put in perspective what we're actually dealing with at the moment. And at the moment, we're dealing with no new cases.
Locally, we've got no new cases today. We had no new cases yesterday.
2 days in a row.
No, 3 days now because it was the day before too. We didn't have any.
According to the ABC, it's only 2 days.
No, it was actually 3 days because it was the day before that too. And actually, sorry, we did have one. I think that was another one off on those bloody shit.
Okay, and then there's that mate of yours. He's going to wreck the whole thing for us, isn't he?
So, but as for Bunnings this morning, so I can't hear you probably, Pete.
No, I'm saying Russell's got a friend who's got some symptoms, and he's staying home and not telling anyone about the fact that he may have COVID, and maybe he's doing that so we can keep a good record.
Yeah, well, could be too, but. So how many do actually have it and not telling anybody anyway? So
yeah.
Well, exactly. that's the question that we posed earlier. Was that maybe people aren't being told the right information on when to get checked and when not to bother getting checked. But maybe we shouldn't be asking people to not bother getting checked. Maybe if you think you've got it, go get checked.
Well, you're just suffering a cold, though, a small cold. Why would you bother wasting doctor's time?
But it's not a waste of time. Think about it this way: if we get it checked, even if it's a false, if it's a negative, at least you know for certain whether or not you had or have COVID. The thing is, you're better off knowing the information than not knowing the information.
Correct.
Oh, really?
And it will lower your anxiety levels.
And stress levels.
If you don't have it, or if you do have it, there's no more wondering. It's a case of, okay, what now? And they'll tell you what to do.
Like, just go to bed and rest.
Yeah, but that's generally what happened. As I said, my sister, she spent about 3 weeks in bed feeling really, really sick.
Yeah.
On doctor's instructions, and she slowly got better.
Exactly.
Everything happens to her. She was bitten twice on 2 different occasions by snakes. It's sort of like if something's going to get her, it gets her.
Yeah, well, you just answer your own question, though, really, because a lot of people are saying, "Hey, we're getting better," so there's no real need to inflate numbers at doctor's surgery. So, get off the radio. You got radio. You got coronavirus. Coughing away.
I think he's joking when he said that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I know.
Look,
I was.
Well,
I might not be too. You never know.
Okay, well, we are wrapping it up for today. Thank you, caller number 1.
I'd be your only caller, wouldn't I?
Well, we don't take callers, although maybe we should. You should give my 1800 number out, and we should take callers that way.
We can't. That's the problem.
That's at a different time slot, Pete. That's for after 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Anyway, ladies, I'm just going to mute these. I'm going to mute this one that's on the phone right now. So,
so I'll look forward to doing another show with you next weekend.
Yeah, look, I'll pop in any time. I don't mind. I might pop up and I'll put on different voices. So you'll sounds like you have a different caller every week.
Yeah, let's do that. Can you be a girl next time?
Oh, yeah, you pay me right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Rant Show. We are out of here for tonight. So thank you very much for listening and joining us on this Facebook exclusive. And it will be uploaded to YouTube as well. So it's not really exclusive because it's not live tonight. But normally it's live on Facebook. But tonight it's not. If you want to get in touch with the show, comment below because, well, if you don't comment, then we won't have topics for tomorrow. No, we'll come up with some.
This whole COVID thing is changing all the time. We've always got topics. We
do, but anyway, we are out of here. Thank you, Peter, for joining me.
Thank you for having me again.
And we'll see you next week. Well, tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
Friday tomorrow.
Yes, Friday tomorrow. We'll see you Friday at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.